Welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. I'm Jordan DeLugo. Thank you so much for tuning in here on Tuesday, October 8th. Hope everybody stays safe out there. Get prepared for this hurricane, right? Milton bearing down on Florida. Not going to be a pretty situation for some. Best wishes to everyone. But the Jaguars want to talk about their defense. We've praised them for what they did on Sunday against the Colts offensively. Some of the defensive performance is very impressive as well. But the Jaguars defense, it's been giving up some serious yards. It's been struggling to get off the field early in games. Gave up 34 points to Joe Flacco in the Indianapolis Colts. Got run out of the building by Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. So what's wrong? Like, what is going wrong with this defense? I want to start with what's not wrong, because again, I do think Ryan Nielsen is having a positive impact in some certain areas. I think that there's players doing really well in certain areas. Run defense, not an issue right now. Tackling has ramped up everywhere. Even the players that might be struggling at certain spots, really not doing a bad job against the run. Tackling has ramped up. Fitting the run is very strong, whether you're talking about up front, linebackers, safeties, corners. They're doing a good job against the run. The pass rush is heating up too. Against two good offensive lines the last 2 weeks, the pass rush has helped change the game in key moments. Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon Walker both playing really well. You want to see Eric Armstead get heated up a little bit more, certainly, but the pass rush is helping. And the pass defense was actually good most of the game against the Colts. But you can't start as slow as they have the last few weeks. And right now, the biggest issue really is the coverage on the back end. They can't cover consistently right now in man coverage. When they drop into zones, they have some communication issues at times. They have some late eyes at times, slow to react. We're going to talk about why that's happening. But again, I do think they looked strong in coverage for most of the game and on defense as a whole for most of the game. There's just a few drives, mainly at the beginning of the game, first drive, and then a couple drives at the end where just major issues covering players. So we're going to talk about that. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out genjag.com/shop. Pick up some new Duval gear like the hat I am wearing right now. So what happened in this game against the Colts? We're going to talk about that, and we're also going to talk about kind of what's happening in general. So what happened early on that first drive? Josh Downs, they couldn't cover him at all. And I thought Shane Steichen, the Colts head coach and offensive play caller, when you're able to get a Josh Downs who has incredible quickness, very smart receiver, explosive, good hands, not a big guy, but he can go up and get it. He can get open pretty much at will. When you get a Josh Downs lined up in man-to-man coverage against Devin Lloyd or even Darnell Savage, that type of receiver, Josh Downs type, is going to eat against those types of matchups. And I thought the Jaguars came out in man early, and Shane Steichen was dialing it up against those looks and doing a really good job. Again, I think the Jaguars defense, I think Ryan Nielsen adjusted. They did play a little bit more zone in this game than they normally do. But that was tough. That was a really tough look. Like, you just had no answer for a slot receiver. Then you have a big-bodied speedster late in the game, Alec Pierce, racing down the field against Buster Brown. That's a tough matchup because even though Alec Pierce isn't like a star, he's got size. He's got speed, athleticism. So that play where Buster Brown was trying to chase Alec Pierce down the field, just go route, that was cover one, it looked like to me. Cisco, he takes a little bit of a moment to peek at the other side before, kind of racing to aid Buster. And it's 6 because Buster Brown isn't able to keep up with Alec Pierce from a speed standpoint, athleticism standpoint, down the field. And look, they tried to hit Alec Pierce earlier in the drive, and great play by Alec Pierce to catch the ball on the ground, but Buster Brown broke that play up. He did a good job on that play on the sideline. But on this play, when you're asking Buster Brown to run with Alec Pierce, that's not going to work. So what do you do in that situation? If you're Buster Brown, you got to get more physical at the line of scrimmage. Then you have a coverage bust that leads to an Alec Pierce touchdown, his second big play in the fourth quarter. Ronald Darby should have had more depth in his assignment. He kind of took the bait. And then Andre Sisco, he's playing center of the field. He needs to get out of his back pedal, read the play, and drive quicker. But Alex Pierce gets wide open for a touchdown, right? So you've got some issues going on the back end there that are avoidable, certainly in my opinion. And we're going to talk about, the big picture stuff and how it can be fixed for the Jacksonville Jaguars. But first, got to talk about Underdog Fantasy, where I have an absolute blast playing best ball, pick'em, and more. It's genuinely the best user experience on the web. Making picks on Underdog is straightforward, and signing up is even easier. Just head over to Underdog's simple-to-use mobile app or UnderdogFantasy.com. Sign up with the promo code DuvalDaily, and Underdog will give you a free pick to use on your first cash pick'em entry, plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code DuvalDaily to claim your new customer special of a free pick and your deposit offer. Must be 18 plus, 19 plus Alabama and Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply, void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP. That's 1-800-639-8783, or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call 24/7 Hope line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY, or text HOPE-NY 467-369. So shout out to Underdog Fantasy. To me, the real big picture issues, beyond just looking at what happened on specific plays against the Colts that kind of messed the Jaguars plan up, Andre Sisco must play better than he is. And I think at the beginning of the year, Andre Sisco and Antonio Johnson were both struggling. I think Antonio is playing a little bit better than I think that he is progressing. And both of these guys are doing a better job against the run than they were early in the year. But I think Antonio Johnson's playing a little bit better overall than he was. Still some bumps in the road, some growing pains. But Andre Sisco, this is a guy in a contract year 4. Obviously first year in this system, but he's just having some mental mistakes that shouldn't really be happening at this point for him, in my opinion. You saw Jesse Bates at free safety come in for a Ryan Nielsen defense last year and absolutely light the league on fire with his interceptions. Andre Sisco's not doing that right now. And now I do have to be clear, like, he has a lot of tough assignments, and he is making some big plays for the Jaguars defense. Like the pass breakup he got, that was just a great instinctual play, kind of seeing what was happening and dropping back and getting a hand on that football. And he's making some tackles as well. But he's got to not have these coverage busts that he is having right now. Point blank. Ronald Darby, for me, he is not cut out to cover true number ones consistently. And that wasn't an issue in this game because, in my opinion, the Colts, while they have Michael Pittman, who is a good football player, they don't have one of these number one receivers that is 6 foot plus and an absolute blazer, great route runner, catches everything. Like, they don't have a Nico Collins. And you saw Ronald Darby trying to cover a Nico Collins. It was not pretty. So he is, by default, the Jaguars' number one corner right now because Tyson Campbell's out. And he's really struggling in that regard, in my opinion. Again, only against truly elite receivers. He's having some struggles. And Nico Collins absolutely is that at this point in his career. Then you also have some guys just taking turns not executing. I think that comes down to communication. It comes down to understanding the assignment and understanding how offenses are trying to attack you. They've got to improve in that regard. Doug Peterson talked about that, said that he and Ryan Nielsen had conversations about the communication on the back end and getting those things fixed. They're still working to get through that. But guys taking turns not quite executing at a perfect level. And when two guys on a play do not execute the way they need to, it's going to end up being 6. And you saw that with that Alec Pierce deep over. And then finally for me, Buster Brown, he has to execute pretty much perfectly, or at least at a very high level on a given play to win against some of the receivers he's going against right now, because, he does not have the athleticism that a lot of the receivers he's going up against have. Case in point, Alec Pierce, right? He's doing a good job for the most part. He really is. But when he has a play where he fails to execute, it can be a big play because he does not have the athleticism to keep up down the field. And I love the way he's playing. He's playing physical, aggressive, doing the best he can with his skill set. I think that all those things are true, but he just doesn't have the speed down the field that a lot of the receivers that he's going against do. And so that's leading to some big plays as well. You've also just got, sometimes when you're lined up in straight man coverage, there's going to be matchups that are executed in the slot or taken advantage of in the slot. Again, we saw that on the first drive by Shane Steichen and Josh Downs. So those are the big issues. Any relief incoming, any sign of hope? I think one sign of hope is the fact that for most of these games, the Jaguars defense is playing well, even including the coverage. You just got to do it more consistently at the beginning and end of the game. But Tyson Campbell, he's supposed to be back soon. He's actually eligible to return from IR this week. I don't see that happening necessarily, but he will be back soon. It's possible maybe he could play in the second game in London. I don't want to put any timetable on it. The Jaguars haven't done that yet, so I don't want to really speculate too much, but he will be coming back soon. Doug Peterson has said that. You hope the Jaguars learned their lesson last year about bringing him back too early. You want him to be fully healthy, recovered from that hamstring before he comes back. But if he comes back, when he comes back, now you've got somebody who should be able to compete with these top receivers in the league a little bit better when fully healthy than a Ronald Darby can. And then you've got Ronald Darby will now be going up against number twos on the outside, which as a CB2, as a guy covering number twos, in most situations, Ronald Darby is going to get the job done. As a guy that is not tasked with covering the top receivers in the league, he will get the job done more often than not. And then you also have Andrew Wingard going to be coming back pretty soon as well, and maybe even Tashawn Gibson. And these are two guys at safety that can execute. Again, I don't want to talk about like Andre Sisco not being in the starting lineup or anything like that, but he's got to play better, and maybe you are able to get more of a rotation at safety than you have currently if you get Dewey and Tashawn, because you're rotating everywhere else. Maybe you need to rotate at safety a little bit as well. Maybe you need to get Dewey out there certain situations. Maybe you need to get Tashawn Gibson out there certain situations. Not 100% sure that Tashawn will be activated to the roster, what's going to happen there coming off suspension, but Dewey certainly will be. So I think that there are potential reinforcements incoming here soon that could really help the Jaguars defense, and they're going to need it, especially down the stretch. It does look like they're going to have two rookie quarterbacks in London, but Caleb Williams is as talented as they come, got great receivers. They have a good defense, so that's not going to be a walk in the park at all. And then the Patriots going to probably be playing Drake May, it looks like. But after that, you've got the Packers, the Eagles, the Vikings, the Lions. You still got the Texans again, got the Jets. So not going to be an easy schedule after London. It's not. But the Jaguars have an opportunity to stack some wins here in London, and I think they're showing signs of improvement, but you can't give up 34 points. You can't have the coverage busts, the mistakes that the Jaguars had against the Colts. And you're going to be going up against much more mobile quarterbacks the next couple of weeks than you did in week 5 against the Indianapolis Colts with Joe Flacco. So that'll do it here. Just kind of my breakdown of what's going wrong with the Jaguars defense. Are there signs of hope? I do think the more they gel together in this Ryan Nielsen defense, the better it could look. I think that they are building towards something pretty good on that side of the ball. Pass rush doing a really good job. Run defense doing a really good job. Just got to eliminate these little mistakes, communication errors, execution errors, and I think that they'll be in a much better spot overall. Really appreciate y'all tuning in. If you enjoy the content, please like, subscribe, hit that notification bell. You can also check out jinjag.com/shop, pick up some new Duval gear, become a channel member here on YouTube. Y'all have a good one.